We've been so lucky. We've had a few days of dry weather right before we're going to have our first freeze. So my littlest son and I managed to clean up the greenhouse. I gave everything a little lick of paint to see it through the winter, and we packed everything away that we can fit inside it. It's a very small greenhouse, a little lean-to one. So we got some of these beauties here, the Himalayan mulberries. They still have fruit on them, which are just not going to ripen now. Look at them. I have actually toyed with the idea of bringing these inside, and I might bring the one that still has fruit on it inside just to ripen. We'll see. And here I also have a nectarine. I haven't shown this one since we had it in the spring. It had the most beautiful pink blossom, and it's budded up now, and I want to just keep it in the greenhouse to keep it safe. The real reason I'm worried about this drop in temperature is because it's really drastic, and that can give the plants some shock and freeze their roots completely, because so far this winter or this autumn we've had really mild nights down to sort of 7 degrees Celsius, that sort of thing. So it's been really nice and mild, but now suddenly we're going to have -4 tonight, and that's really going to be a shock for the system. So I think keeping this nectarine, he's a very dwarf nectarine, he's in a little pot here, but he's supposed to be an extra dwarf, so he should be okay in here. And I'm going to put them all here and just close up the greenhouse, and just, it's going to stay above zero anyhow, so that's the main thing. And I'm going to go and pack everyone else away. So we've got my physalis here, a little guy that I'm keeping in a pot just as sort of a bit of security in case all the others die now that we're getting cold temperatures. And I'm also going to try to cover some of my physalises up, the ones that are outside, because after this one freezing night we'll have another freezing night tomorrow, and then we're going to go back up to having really good nights of 7 degrees again, or 6 degrees, something like that, or even 9 degrees. So it's very swinging temperatures. But let me get on with packing things up. I've got some of these. I bought these in the sale last spring, and I'm going to use them to cover my pineapple guavas. I moved them down here off the patio where they would get buffeted by wind to a more sheltered position where they're sort of in the shade of a great big apple tree here and a great big cherry tree here. So yeah, quite protected. And I'm going to cover them up because last year when we had a freeze they also really got damaged. They lost so many leaves. They recovered really well, but I don't want to get them, I want to sort of protect them as much as I can to give them a chance to hopefully flower and fruit for me next year. Okay, there's so much more space in them. They're actually really quite large, but they're amazing. So much easier to put on the plants than my really tight-fitting ones last year that really could damage and cause snappage. These ones have lots of space. I almost could have fit both of them in one. I might try that next time. And my big question is if I should leave them in for the 2 nights, like without taking them off in between. I'll have to figure that out and look it up, because I haven't used them before, but they're looking really good. And that should keep them nice and snug for a cold night. I feel much better now that I've got them sorted. So here we have my Chilean guava. This is my Kapow. It's meant to be the largest cultivar, and it got so damaged last year that we really had a hard time getting any fruit this year. We got a few berries, but not at all as much as the other ones that were in a better position. So I am going to be protecting this guy every time we get frosts like we will tonight. And actually, while I'm out here, I'm going to get some little cuttings from him because he has put on lots of growth, and I would love to get a few more of this amazing cultivar here. So let me just get my snippers. I'm sure this is not exactly the ideal time to take some cuttings, but I'm going to do so all the same. Here we go. Here's a good one. And one over here. Actually, it's a nice little time just to prune them off a little bit anyhow and get them ready. Let me get a few more. I've chosen to take little places that will benefit the plant, like right here. This is right before there was like the 2 little branches coming out here, and then that would make them grow out stronger. And just also up here you can see some little places going to be growing out. Lots of little good places, and the fact that I'm protecting it now means it won't get hurt when we get our frost tonight, or at least our freezing temperatures. I imagine there'll be frost when it's going to be -4 degrees. Alright, let's get on with covering it up. So there he is, all safe and snug. It's a much tighter fit. And these are the ones from last year, so these kind of things you can just use over and over again. Luckily, there's no wastage there, but they're supposed to be really good at keeping them warm. So hopefully it'll work really well. This is a really unusual time to be propagating, but I'm just going to take these little guys here. I'm sitting on some water sucking it up. I'm going to just strip off most of the leaves here and get them out. So this has always worked really well for me, getting them all popped in there. Do you know, someone actually, I recently saw, they said that you could drink tea made of chili and guava leaves. And I think someday I'd like to try that. Apparently they said it tasted a bit like green leaves, which is not surprising. It's a really long one. I might make them shorter. But yeah, look at that little pot full of chili and guava cuttings. It's going to be interesting to see how they do, seeing as it's so late in the year. I wonder if I should take them inside, but I think I'll leave them out in the unheated greenhouse and hope they root. Just a little bonus propagation here. The last time I propagated them, I think the latest was in October, and they did super well. So I've had good experience with them. I'm also quite keen for this beautiful physalis to stand a fighting chance, so I'm going to cover it up too. There we go. It's draped over the poor pear tree as well. Look at some of these things I put in the greenhouse. These are lupins that I grew from seed earlier this year, and I repotted them now and trimmed them down, and they're all ready just to keep on growing and get ready to flower next year when I'll put them out into the garden. And of course there are lots of chili and guavas. I'm going to make a little chili and guava hedge next year, so I'm keeping all the little guys, all the little cuttings in the warmth until next year. So let's close it up. For these physalis, I really need to protect them because they are really fruiting well here, and I really want to get some nice ripe fruit off them. I think the tomatoes are going to go. They're just finishing now, finally. Pick the last ones. But I need to cover these guys up. I want to mulch the soil down there. I've got a whole bag full of leaves, so I'll just mulch them up quickly. That's a really thick layer of leaves. That should help keep the roots insulated. Over here I have my little quintet of fig trees. I think I might pick the last, that is a brown turkey again, from the neighbor's cutting I got this year. So I might just pick the last one, and then I think I'm going to put a blanket over them. They're so hardy. Last year I didn't do anything at all for the one I had out here, which was this one here. But my in-laws were just saying how theirs, they have one, they don't live too far away from us, and they have a fig tree, and they had it in a pot buried in the ground, just to keep the roots constricted to give it a better chance of fruiting. And they haven't had a single fruit this year, and it almost died during the really cold winter we had. So with that in mind, I might just try to cover these up with a blanket now to make sure they don't get shocked by the cold night. The figs. Here are the physalis. They're actually old sheets that I've used for painting as well. And I'm going to cover these guys up now too. These are my potted chili and guavas. They did not need any protection last year, but just to be on the safe side, because it's such a drastic drop in temperature, I'm going to cover them up too. So there they all are, all safe and sound, hopefully, for a frosty night. And just in case my protection does not work, I have taken some cuttings of my physalis for extra security, even though I have a few plants inside as well. I just really want to have lots and lots of these fruit and give them all a head start next year. And so as they are prone to get very damaged and get killed by frost, I'm not at all sure that the ones outside will survive, but we'll soon know. Either way, I've got these little cuttings and they root so fast. They've got the same kind of hairs on the stems as tomato plants because they're in the same family, so they'll root really quickly, and I'll have my little extra plants for next year. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time, and good luck with the cold nights ahead. See you next time.